Part 1.
You will hear a woman being interviewed by a market researcher in a health club about her membership of the club. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Oh, excuse me. I wonder if you'd have the time to take part in some market research.
What's it about?
About this club and your experiences and opinions about being a member. It'll take less than 5 minutes.
Oh, OK then, as long as it's quick.
Can I start by taking your name?
It's Selina Thompson.
Is that Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. And what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm an accountant, but I'm between jobs at the moment.
I understand. But that's the job I'll put down on the form. And would you mind my asking which age group you fall into? Below 30, 31 to 50, and above?
Over 50, I think we can safely say.
Great, thanks. And which type of membership do you have?
Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean how long?
No, is it a single-person membership?
Oh, right, no, it's a family membership.
Thanks. And how long have you been a member?
Ooh, let me see. I was certainly here 5 years ago, and it was probably 2 to 3 years more than that.
Shall I put down 8?
Oh, I remember now. It's 9, definitely. Sorry.
No problem. I've got that. And the last question in this first part is, what brought you to the club?
Sorry?
How did you find out about the club? Do you see any ads?
Well, I did actually, but I have to say I wasn't really attracted to the club because of that. It was through word of mouth.
So you were recommended by a friend?
Actually, my doctor. I'd been suffering from high blood pressure, and he said the club was very supportive of people with that condition, so I signed up.
Great, thanks.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Now, for the second part of the form, I want to ask a bit more about your experience of the club.
Sure.
How often would you say you use the club?
It varies enormously, depending on how busy I am.
Of course. But on average, per month?
I'd say it averages out at twice a week.
OK, so 8 on average.
Yeah, and 4 of those are aqua aerobics classes.
That leads me to the next question. Would you say the swimming pool is the facility you make most use of?
Fair to say that, yep.
Right, thanks. And are there any facilities you don't use?
One area I realise I've never used is the tennis courts. And there's one simple reason for that.
You don't play tennis?
Actually, I'm not bad at it.
Oh.
It's that I'm not happy having to pay extra for that privilege.
Ah, right. I've made a note of that. Thanks. Now, in the last section, are there any suggestions or recommendations you have for improvements to the club?
Only about health and fitness?
Anything at all?
Well, I'd like to see more social events. It isn't just a question of getting together for games or classes, but other things, you know.
Yes, sure.
And another thing that I was thinking, when I had my yoga class in the gym last night, we were all sweltering in the heat, was that I think they should put in, or, you know...
air conditioning.
That's exactly what I mean. The rooms are really light and well designed, but they do need proper installations.
Sure. Well, I've made a note of that.
Good.
So, is there anything else you'd like to suggest? About quality of service, for example?
Oh, everyone's very nice here. They couldn't be more friendly and helpful. Oh, but I tell you what, it's a shame the restaurant isn't open in the evening on Saturday, and Sunday as well, for that matter.
So, the club should...
open it later on those days.
OK. Well, thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 1.
Part 2. You will hear a man talking to a group of new students about the campus. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
As you will have noticed upon entering the main campus, the area is quite vast. I'd like to show you around today and get you familiar with the area. Right now, we are standing in the campus garden, which is the most conspicuous area in the whole campus. It is roughly in the centre of the campus and makes for a good reference point. To the northwest of the garden, we have what we refer to as the Student Service Unit. This is where you can find course information, lodge complaints about registration, receive grades and conduct other administrational tasks. You should become familiar with this place, as you will likely be visiting it a lot in the near future, by which I mean from tomorrow. To the southeast of the garden, near the south gate, we have quite a vibrant venue for both sports and concerts, and it provides over 5,000 seats. You can find a lot of posters on the billboard nearby advertising upcoming activities. We usually organise at least one big event each month and have a few regularly scheduled activities that are open to all students on weekends. Take the lane leading to the northeastern corner of the campus and you will find a new building at the end. It's where trained staff are ready to cater to your health needs and give advice for any health-related problems that you might have. Just to let you know, the first floor is for physical checkups, while the second floor is for consultations. If you're from abroad and need help, You'll need to go to the building directly adjacent to the campus garden. Go straight to the second floor, where we have staff there to assist you. By the way, that building is also where we hold most of our international conferences and seminars. It's a great place to listen to experts share their experience. I highly recommend it. For those who need to find a place to live on campus, you can go to the accommodation office. Please note that we have closed the old office, which is directly to the west of the campus garden, as it is too small. The larger building right next to the cafe is where the new one is located. I am aware that some students have yet to receive their room keys. This is probably because you have not provided us with your proof of payment and identity card yet. Please don't worry though. I can assure you that there are enough rooms for everybody.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 16 to 20.
The students' dormitory is on the south side of the campus, and it is, of course, where you will be residing throughout your stay. Each room is equipped to accommodate 2 students. The kitchen space is shared, but you do have a shower for yourselves. After you move in, you will have to talk to the designated manager of your dormitory building before using any of the facilities in the basement, including washing machines and dryers. If you have signed up for our school meal program, please listen up. In order to prevent any mix-ups when distributing meals, most of our food containers will be marked with each student's name. If the labelling isn't done correctly on yours, please let us know in time. You should be aware that last semester we had some incidents involving theft in the dorms. As such, we've implemented some new policies this year to upgrade our security services. Every student will be provided with an access code, without which they cannot enter their rooms. Please don't share it with anyone. If you want to renew its validity, you'll need to check your portal page and find the button under the tab On Campus Dormitory. We hope that this new system should limit the number of thefts this year. Finally, I'd like to talk briefly about campus rules. It is expected that all gadgets and appliances are switched off after the lights are out, which happens at 11:30 p.m. Most students' bedtime is around 11 p.m, so please keep to this time and respect others' need for quiet. We take this quite seriously and are quite strict. Any gadgets that are seized for breaking this rule won't be returned until the end of the semester.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2.
You will hear 2 students named Peter and Lynn discussing Professor John Smith's article about online course. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Lynn, I just finished reading Professor Smith's article about the benefit of online courses. What are your thoughts on the article?
Hi, Peter. When I read that article, it was clear to me that Professor Smith does not favor the traditional methods of classroom teaching. Although I can certainly acknowledge that there were some advantages to online courses, I would say that internet courses are not always the best means for teaching and learning.
Well, I guess teaching and learning problems always exist no matter what method you are choosing. But generally, problems are more likely to arise when teaching is done through a traditional way. I think it's about time to revolutionize the old teaching style, though.
But I would hope that students consider the negatives of online learning before enrolling in online courses.
This shouldn't be a big issue since online courses are so common these days. At least, I won't struggle so much. And Professor Smith points out that computer learning is well suited for some courses, especially the technical courses. I think it makes sense to some extent based on my own experience.
That's good, but unfortunately that theory doesn't work for me.
What a shame. I got an A for that online computing course last year. Anyway, the next part is personal interaction. I think the mutual interaction offered by traditional teaching is overrated in the article and doesn't have much value. I think it's a distraction and that time could be better spent on the subject matter of the course.
Oh, I disagree strongly. Peter, you're dismissing the benefits of face-to-face interaction between students and teachers in traditional classroom settings. The article says that learning is a two-way street, and it's much easier for students to learn if they can ask questions and have discussions with their teachers.
I'm still not sure about that, but online courses can foster students' technical skills. In learning the subject matter online, students will gain the technical know-how they'll need in their future endeavors.
I didn't pay much attention to that, but I do agree that students can learn very limited technical skills in a typical classroom, whereas they can learn more in an online course. What do you think Professor Smith means when he says online courses should be flexible in time?
That's essential. The point of learning online is to allow those who can't attend courses at fixed time to learn. The patterns of traditional teaching are different from those of online teaching. The former features a steady curriculum schedule, and that's where online teaching shows its edge.
I can't agree more.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
The second part of the article shares some thoughts about the use of internet on campus. I'm kind of lost in that part.
Well, I think what he's trying to say is that students are already accustomed to doing their research on the internet, since it can be a huge waste of time if they look for the information by reading so many books. They always count on the internet, although some people say computers could be better used for other purposes. He emphasizes that many teachers are already instructing students by using the computer as a research tool.
Thanks for clarifying that. What about the next part, saying that students are divided? Do you know what that means?
Well, it's certainly not that some students are not willing to use computers. They're already well accustomed to that.
You're right about that. Most students already use the internet as their primary source for news and information.
Professor Smith probably intends to say that computers are not easily accessible and available to all students.
Yes, not all students can afford computers.
Although many teachers encourage the use of other resources, many students prefer to use the internet, as they are most comfortable with computers and the internet. They have the internet at their fingertips, whereas other resources might take more time and energy to access.
Yes, and as Professor Smith notes, with online courses, the student support system is already in place. Instead of asking fellow students or the professor for assistance, students would be able to get any information they need online. and this assistance would be available immediately.
So, why do you think Professor Smith is recommending the use of computers as the school's main means of educating students? Do you think he's interested in reducing some of the fees associated with traditional classroom courses?
I think it's all about the money. He is promoting online courses simply because he thinks it will enable the school to make more money.
I never thought of it that way.
Many schools already have limited space for classrooms. If the school board wants to enroll more students, they can do that through distance learning mode. Instead of recruiting more teachers, the same course resources can be sold to both online and offline students. Plus, some computer companies are willing to financially support the schools that promote this type of learning.
I see. This is profitable in every sense. All right, now we'll have something to write about in the research paper.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 4. You will hear a talk on research in nanotechnology. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second lecture in our series on modern technology. Today I'll be discussing the recent developments in nanotechnology in addition to its applications in a number of environments, such as domestic and medical. First of all, I'd like to begin with a short explanation of what nanotechnology is. It is the manipulation of matter on an atomic, molecular, and supramolecular scale. Because of its limitless applications and uses, the government has invested billions of dollars into the research and development of nanotechnology in order to explore its potential. It is only recently that we have been able to engage in the development of nanotechnology, since the particles are so minuscule that a new type of microscope had to be invented to enable us to see them. Many of you may not realize that we all use nanotechnology in our homes as a part of our daily lives. For example, a new dietary supplement uses nanotechnology in order to help our body to absorb iron from our diet more efficiently, which can help to prevent anemia. This technology also makes it easier and cheaper for factories to produce foods such as chocolates, as the nanomolecules help the food to meet our recommended daily intake of certain vitamins and minerals. This may sound odd, but in fact it just means that the food is healthier and cheaper and has increased flavour. Another application for nanotechnology is in the agriculture industry. In the past, farmers have been using many artificial chemicals to fertilize the soil, which is extremely bad for the planet, as it contaminates the water that we drink. By using nanotechnology, scientists have been able to develop a spray which increases the efficiency of fertilizers that occur naturally in the soil. This means that a lot more food can now be produced per square hectare, making it cheaper and more efficient to grow without harming the planet. One of the industries upon which nanotechnology has had the biggest impact is the production of pharmaceuticals. One of the most commonly occurring illnesses is food poisoning, as many foods have naturally occurring contaminants that can be harmful if eaten without being thoroughly cooked. Nanotechnology makes it possible for us to sterilize the food and make it safe to eat by killing these bacteria. A major success in the use of nanotechnology in the medical field is in the treatment of cancer. Researchers have found that they can attach medicine to nanoparticles, which are then injected into the body and enable the therapeutic drugs to be absorbed into the veins. These drugs then travel throughout the blood system and target cancerous tumours. Scientists have also discovered that certain metals contain nanoparticles that have antibacterial qualities with the ability to destroy over 650 types of bacteria. These metals are used, for example, on fridges to prevent the growth of bacteria. They can even be woven into materials to create clothing that is self-cleaning and has an attractive metallic appearance. The most popular of these materials contains silver, which naturally has the strongest antibacterial qualities. These clothes have a special tag on them to show that they use nanotechnology, so keep a lookout for them next time you go shopping. Another observation made by some researchers showed that certain types of nanoparticles called splifferines can destroy fat tissues and therefore stimulate fat loss without the need for dieting or exercise. They are currently developing a supplement that can be ingested in order to help dieters with their weight loss programs. It is predicted that these supplements will be on the market by 2020. I would like to finish today's lecture with a final example of a domestic application for nanotechnology: cosmetics. Nanoparticles are used in many makeups and body lotions, but they have the greatest effect in sun cream. Ultraviolet rays given off by the sun are a serious cause of skin cancer, but the nanoparticles in sun cream protect the skin against the sun by blocking the ultraviolet radiation from entering the body. This is why you must always wear suntan lotion on the beach. Now, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.